Hey, what is up you guys? Welcome back to another video. Alrighty, so I'm going to be showing you a new makeup look. If you want to learn how to do this, be sure you stay tuned. Alright, so we're going to pretty much just jump right on into this video. Alright, so to start off, we're going to go ahead and moisturize our face. I use a wet rag and then go ahead and put lotion on as well. And, oh, sorry to mention this to you kind of late, but for this video I thought it'd be best to go ahead and just do a voiceover. That way it's more effective and not too long because it did take me about 2 hours in total to create this look. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and start off with my base. I did put in some primer and then I used my CoverGirl foundation. I think I used 55 Honey. We're just going to go ahead and just put it all over your face with your Beauty Blender so that way it's nice and even. And then for this look, we're going to try our best to make it look natural. Since Khaleesi didn't really wear makeup then, she just had her natural beauty. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take away my eye bags. What I'm using is Revolution, I believe. It's their concealer, it's the lightest shade. My eye bags are pretty bad. And then we're just going to go ahead and blend that in the darker areas to kind of like create a seamless transition between your foundation. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and set our face. What I'm using is the e.l.f. pressed powder, I believe, in the medium shade, and we're just going to blend it all in. Then I'm going to go ahead with another beauty blender and then just put a lighter shade right under my eye bags, which is pretty much called baking if you're newer to this. And I'm also going to go ahead and just drag it over my eye. That way it's just a nice, easy base for me to blend my eyeshadow later on. And it's only on one eye since the other one's going to be pretty much covered up with the dragon scales. So then I'm going to go ahead and just use a nice neutral brown and go ahead and put that in my crease. Honestly, I could have cut this stuff because it pretty much matches my natural eyes, so it looked pretty silly doing this. Once you're done with your eyeshadow, go ahead and go back and blend in where you put the powder under your eyes. That way it's just not like a big like white patch under your skin. And then what I'm doing now is going ahead and lightening up my inner corner of my eye with some highlight. I just sprayed my Morphe spritz spray and to the brush, and it just pretty much makes it lighter. And then we're going to go ahead and take care of those eyebrows. It's a little crazy. And now we're going to go ahead and contour our face. Nothing too crazy or glam, just again for the natural look and to kind of add some dimension to my face. And also add just a wee bit of blush. I'm not too crazy about it, but go ahead and blend it all over. And then go ahead and set your makeup. Then go ahead and use your mascara. Then again, you just only have to focus on one eye because the other eye is going to be covered up with the dragon scales. Okay, so to get started with the dragon scales, you're going to go ahead and just use a light eyeliner in a lighter shade of the color of what other color you wanted to use for your dragon, which mine's going to be red, so I chose light pink. What I'm doing is kind of sketching out where I want the dragon scales to be, and then we're going to go ahead and glue down our eyebrows so that way when we put over the scales with the spirit gun, it won't pull your eyebrow hairs out. Okay, so there's a little bit of a white patch on my eyebrow, as you can see. I tried to lay down the scales earlier and I just didn't like how they were going pretty much vertical. What you want to kind of do is go ahead and put them at a slant angle. And I'm going to have this kind of slowed down so you guys can really see what I'm doing. Pretty much for the little scales with Model Magic, it's like a clay thing. It was $4. It's foamy, easy to really shape. And what you want to do is kind of shape your scales in like teardrops. What you want to do is the closest one to like the bridge of your nose, you want to have that bigger, and then as you go down or farther along, you want them to be smaller. Like, and I forgot to mention, for my adhesive, I'm actually using spirit gum. Be sure you do have it in a pack just in case you do get it on your skin elsewhere because it is kind of hard to remove. But I did find out later on when I did take off this look, laying down that glue really did help. I didn't have any like pulls or tears on my eyebrows, so they are still there. There are other adhesives that you can use. I tried to use latex, but that was a little too runny for me. So honestly, what I found to work best for me and whatever I had in my kit was spirit gum. And I pretty much stuck it to there. Now you can't wiggle your face or your eyebrows too much because of course it wasn't on like as if it was my own skin. But so now what I'm doing is I'm kind of pressing down the edges around the teardrops. That way it's not too much of a huge like chunky transition between my actual skin and the scales. I kind of want it to be as seamless as possible when I am painting it, but still to be noticeable. You just have to be really careful while you're doing this because you can easily pull off one of the scales. What probably would have been better, what I should have started off with is actually like it's a scalpel tool, I think is what it's called, where it's flat and just basically it would be probably better than using my finger. So then what I'm going to go ahead now is kind of create the bottom scales, which this is kind of hard because I had to keep trying to measure up. I didn't realize my face is kind of smaller than what I thought, you know, but I had a big head. Anyway, you can see I'm just putting down the glue and then we're going to go ahead and pop that scale on. For this part I did put a generous amount just because it's going to be kind of like the base for all the other ones. It's not going to be separated out. You'll see later on as we get further along for this. But I'm going to do the same technique, just press it on your skin, and then eventually I'll go ahead and press down the edges as well. When you're pressing down for this part of the scale, it's like I said, a large piece, so be sure you kind of support it that way while you're working on one side. It won't fall off or move from the area that you want it to be set at. As you can see, I'm just kind of supporting it and then, like I said, pressing it into my skin. Alright, so now you pretty much have the gist of it, but then I also wanted to create more of like a dragon-like texture because it's not, from the pictures that I was using as reference, it wasn't like their skin was super smooth, like I was looking at reptiles and stuff. So what I did was kind of pinch the Model Magic clay to where it was bumpy, more rigid, like, what is it called, like alligator skin? Or like the alligator, like purses or whatever that you would see, where it's kind of bumped up. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that to create more of an actual texture for it. And then we're gonna go ahead and do next is paint our base coat. What I'm using is a watercolor paint. It's in red, but I'm actually not, I think you can honestly skip over that part, but it was just trial and error for myself. The reason why I say that is because like later on I wanted it to be darker. Now yes, that could be awesome for the base, but when I got to the point where I wanted it darker, I pretty much covered up everything with blacks and browns and stuff. You'll see later on, so I don't know if I just could have saved myself more time. But now we're gonna go ahead and kind of make it, the edges like not too much bruised, but a little bit more seamless. We're gonna redden it up as if it's like a scrape, that type of concept. What I'm using is just like a makeup sponge and then some of the red paint as well. We're just going to go around all of the edges. Be sure you be careful though because you don't want to flatten your scales. And then now I'm going to go ahead and blacken out my eye. What I'm using is the James Charles X Morphe palette. I'm using the color Spooky and I'm just going to put it all over my eye. It doesn't have to be pretty neat or anything, just as long as it's there. Oh, and another thing, just be sure you're not using one of your fanciest brushes, just because I did get some paint on there and I don't know if you guys feel like ruin it or not, but for me, I didn't care for these. They were just the $1 e.l.f. brushes. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead with the detail. What I used was a mixture of red and brown watercolor paint, and I'm going to go ahead and go in the creases of my scale, just to make them pop out more, and also kind of go below it and do a gradient effect. I forgot to mention like what kind of paint I was using. So for the base like red coat that we used earlier, that's actually from a kit from Walmart that had like 16 watercolor paints in them for face painting. I just used the brightest red, and then for the actual scales and the detailing, I'm using the Mehron? I'm not sure what it's actually pronounced, but it's the body paint palette that has like 6 colors in there, and I actually pretty like it a lot. It's pretty nice. Alright, so now we're just going to go ahead and go back with a mixture of brown and black, a little bit of black, mainly brown. Go back in those creases and at the base of each scale to go ahead and create that gradient effect. That way it looks more realistic and actually more appealing to the eye. And I'm also just kind of carving out the base of that large portion of the scar we put, just to kind of give it more texture and more details. So now the dragon scale is kind of looking more realistic and coming together, which I am loving. So what we're going to go ahead and do next, instead of making it the matte look, I kind of wanted it more glossy, so this is a little weird. But what I used was lube, and I went ahead and just dabbed it on a paintbrush and put it on my eye. Now you can use petroleum jelly or glycerin, that works just as well, but you know, you can just go to Walmart and get, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Just go there, get it done, good, use free special effects, really nice for burns as well. So now what I'm going ahead to do is go ahead and I'm using fake blood, and I'm just jabbing it in the corners of my eyes, underneath the scales, kind of darkening things up and looking at more detailed. But I also like to use that blood just because it was shiny as well, so it didn't really take away the work that I used with the glycerin. Or sorry, the lube, I'm sorry. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is trying to finish off this look with this Wet n Wild liquid lipstick. I tried to use a matte neutral color that kind of complements both sides of my face. God, I really need to learn how to actually like put on lipstick. I'm shocked nobody has clocked me out on any of my photos just because it's always a little bit crooked on one side, but I'm not too patient with that. So now I'm just going to kind of tie things together by bloodying up this Khaleesi look on the corner of her lip with that fake blood I had earlier. Just dabbing it, and then I'm also going to kind of do like scratch marks on her neck with the same fake blood, and also just like a thin angled brush, paintbrush. And that's all. So sorry that this look was kind of rushed. I really do hope you guys appreciate it, and again, thank you so much for supporting me. Be sure you check out my social media. I'll go ahead and link them down below. Thank you.